Most superhero stories are pretty straightforward. Save the world. But what if the world doesn't actually want to be saved? Today, we're going to take a look at a recurring comic book villain to explore one of philosophy's darkest ideas, this thought that existence itself is a mistake, and maybe, just maybe, the only truly heroic act is to unmake it all.
So let's just dive right in with a huge one. What if every single hero, every crisis, every epic battle to save reality is completely missing the point? What if the universe isn't some precious gift, but more like a fundamental error we should wake up from? This is the wild question that's going to frame our entire journey today.
And that brings us right to our first section. This idea that the universe is just built wrong, from the ground up. This totally flips the script on the heroic premise that existence is this amazing thing worth saving no matter what.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. On the left, you've got Nietzsche's famous challenge, the eternal recurrence. The idea is, can you live a life so awesome, so fulfilling, that you'd be thrilled to live it over and over and over again forever? It's a call to action, right? But then on the right, pessimism takes that exact same idea and turns it into an absolute curse, an endless, inescapable loop of pain and wanting, like a cosmic treadmill you can never, ever get off of.
So, where does such a bleak perspective even come from? Well, to get that, we need to meet the master of philosophical pessimism himself, the 19th century thinker Arthur Schopenhauer. You could say he's the guy who built the engine for this entire worldview.
All right, so the absolute core of Schopenhauer's whole philosophy is this concept he called the will to live. Now, this isn't your personal will or God's will. Think of it as a blind, irrational, cosmic hunger, an endless striving that's the engine behind everything that exists. And because this hunger can never, ever be fully satisfied, its very existence guarantees that life will always be defined by suffering.
And this image? It's the perfect illustration of what the will really is. It's not some conscious being with a master plan. No, it's like this raging, chaotic, aimless ocean, just a raw, metaphysical force that churns things into existence just for the sake of continuing its own pointless striving. This is the horrifying reality that's hiding just beneath the surface of everything.
So, you might be wondering, if reality is this terrifying ocean, how come we don't see it all the time? Well, Schopenhauer says we're protected by something he called the veil of Maya. It's basically the grand illusion of our everyday world. Separate people, distinct places, individual things. And here's the crazy connection. The entire comic book multiverse, with its endless reboots, crises, and alternate Earths, it is a perfect modern-day metaphor for this veil. It's a huge, distracting show that hides the simple truth of one singular, suffering reality underneath.
And this diagram here shows you exactly how that illusion gets made. On the left, you've got that one singular, chaotic will. It passes through the prism of what he called individuation, that's the veil of Maya in action, and it fractures the one into the many. And that creates the world we see. A world full of individual egos, all competing, all in conflict, and all generating endless suffering.
Schopenhauer himself put it best. He said reality is like a dream. It's this blurry, deceptive state where nothing is really solid, because it's all just an illusion hiding a much more terrifying, singular truth. So this brings us to the comic book connection. If the universe really is just a machine designed to create suffering, what kind of villain would that machine produce? Well, that's where we meet the Void, an entity that is the living embodiment of this whole philosophical problem.
And right here, this is the big twist in our story. The Void isn't evil. It doesn't want power or control. It is the raw, physical manifestation of that chaotic, suffering will we were just talking about. And its goal is something else entirely.
This chart just makes the difference crystal clear. A traditional villain, they act out of greed or revenge. The Void's motivation, though, is something you could call Schopenhauerian resignation. Its one and only goal is to return everything to the quiet of non-existence. See, this isn't malice. In a twisted way, it's an act of mercy meant to end the universal cycle of pain, forever. The Void isn't a person with a grudge. It's a fundamental force of reality itself that's just trying to turn the universe off.
Now, this idea of a cosmos that's just fundamentally flawed, it's not unique to Schopenhauer. It actually pops up in other places, from horror fiction to ancient mythology, which gives it this truly terrifying scale.
I mean, think about it for a second. What's really scarier? A monster that hates you and wants to kill you, or a universe that doesn't even know you exist? That right there is the core of Lovecraftian horror. The terror isn't that the universe is hostile, it's that it's completely, utterly indifferent. Our entire existence is just a meaningless accident in a vast, uncaring abyss.
And this idea connects all the way back to the very beginning of the Bible. Before creation, it says there was tohu wabohu, a formless and void chaos. Now, this wasn't a place of evil because concepts like good and evil hadn't even been invented yet. It was just this undifferentiated primordial soup that existed before order, consciousness, and meaning were forced onto it. The void entity is basically the personification of this ancient chaos trying to reclaim everything.
So, when you put it all together, you start to see three totally different frameworks, all describing the exact same terrifying truth. Whether you call it the will, the abyss, or the tohu habohu, it's the same fundamental idea, a pre-creation chaos that looks at our ordered reality as a mistake that needs to be corrected.
Okay, so if you're a hero, and you live in a universe that is fundamentally broken, totally indifferent, and built on an engine of pain, what does being a hero even mean? And this leads us to our profound final conclusion. Let's just follow the logic all the way to the end. First, we have to accept the premise. The universe is built on a foundation of pain. Okay, well, in a system like that, any victory a hero manages to pull off is just a temporary patch. It doesn't fix the broken foundation.
So here's the crucial, tragic irony. Saving the world doesn't actually destroy the machine of suffering. All it does is tune it up so it can keep running for another generation, for another cycle.
So when you're faced with this kind of cosmic futility, what is the one thing a hero can do that actually matters?
The only meaningful act is rebellion. And I don't just mean fighting villains. I mean rebelling against the very premise of the cosmos itself.
This redefines heroism completely. Suddenly, it's not about winning, it's about defiance. It's the conscious choice to stare into the abyss of a meaningless, suffering universe and just say no. It's the act of creating value, of forging meaning, and of fighting for other people even when you know, on a cosmic scale, the battle can't ultimately be won. It's a beautiful, tragic, and incredibly profound act of rebellion.
And all of that leaves us with one last, kind of haunting question to think about. If our whole existence is defined by this relentless, often painful striving to just be, could it be that true liberation, true freedom, isn't found in fighting harder, but in the wisdom of finally letting go? It's a pretty profound thought to end on.